Hello and welcome to another edition of the Road Hub International podcast, and that's hosted by me, Gideon Ewers, the editor of Road Hub International. Today it's kind of different. We're out on the road at VERTICON 2025 in Dallas. In fact, today is setup day at VERTICON, so we are in the media room, so you may hear the animalistic sounds of my journalistic colleagues, but I can't help that. Joining me today, though, is Ronnie Ries. Ronnie is, he's the HUMS, the Duke of HUMS, I guess you'd call him. He's the Vice President Marketing with GPMS, the manufacturers and distributors of the Foresight MX HUMS system. For that, Ronnie was, about 16, 17 years, man and boy at Bell. Variety of roles there. And for someone like me, who, if you cut me, I bleed burnt orange, I'm disturbed to learn that he's actually also an Aggie, so that's, I won't hold it against him, though. Ronnie, thanks for spending the time. I know it's very busy on the morning of the show, like it is today. But, last night we saw something as a bit of a breakthrough with the announcement of the Robinson R88, which I think is going to be you're saying that the first aircraft that's going to be certified with HUMS from the very beginning.
Yeah, it was an amazing announcement last night. The team at Robinson did an amazing job with the launch. Their focus on bringing this workhorse utility truck to the market is an incredible aspect, and with the flat floor and various other things. But they are going to be the very first light helicopter certified with HUMS as standard equipment. And you think about what that means from a safety perspective, not only from a reliability and quality perspective, but from a safety perspective of they understand what's going on with that aircraft at any point in time, and the operators have better insight into what's going on with that aircraft. It's an amazing choice that Robinson has made, and it's one that other OEMs I think should really consider.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. They're going to have that fleet data literally from hour one of the test program on through into production, and that's, it is unprecedented naturally. So, that starts to think about things in the longer range for the way that the FAA and other regulators look at the use of HUMS, and that move away from calendar or time to an on-condition process.
Right, and on condition, whether or not they can take that full step on that, there are other things that they can take a look at. I know that aircraft will probably be using the MSG3 process, but when you take a look at, could you use the HUMS system for vibe checks, or some level of other kinds of inspections of like, hey, I'm looking at the data looks good, I don't have to go do a physical inspection. There's definitely some interesting areas that they can pursue with this by having it on from day one.
Ronnie, we've talked about the development with the R88 and that exciting progress and those changes. But, there are other OEMs, aircraft OEMs who are reassessing their HUMS programs as well. That maybe there were newer entrants, but they're recognizing some developments and changes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really good partners with Bell. They helped us actually get off the ground with our very first STC for the 407, which was the first really light single HUMS out there that was affordable, lightweight enough, and easy enough to use for the market. And that's how we've continued to grow. They've been incredible partners, and right now we are launching, in partnership with them, a HUMS upgrade program for their legacy HUMS. Most of those HUMS systems are experiencing significant obsolescence issues, lead times, pricing, and so forth. It's becoming unaffordable to keep up with those legacy HUMS systems. And next-gen HUMS is here, right? It's going to make this fundamentally a much easier system to use for these operators, and they're going to get more capability out of it. So this upgrade program with Bell is going to be great for the 412, 212, and 429 operators. But we're also working with other OEMs. Airbus right now we have a great relationship with as well. One of the things that we're talking about at the show is that they are basically launching FlyScan for the H125 with our GPMS HUMS. So you're getting the OEM support that Airbus operators, just like every operator wants, is OEM support. They're getting that level of availability on our HUMS for that OEM coverage. So we love what's going on there. Obviously, the other OEMs, Leonardo is knee-deep into HUMS every day. They're doing a great job. And Sikorsky with the S92 has used that for a long time. But even some of those systems could probably use a refresh at some point.
Yeah, and I mean that sort of speaks to, with especially with the S92, with its well-documented issues and part supply and the impact it's having on the operators. I think in recent figures with Bristow, they actually put it as a line in their shareholder letter that there was an actual huge impact, airframe availability because of spares shortages. So again, that sort of almost circles back to that whole on-condition idea and changing the game there.
Yeah, and I think the regulatory agencies are starting to see some of these changes in availability and what HUMS can do and how it can be used. And so it's going to take that industry partnership of OEMs, operators, and the regulators to come together and say, hey, has the technology changed enough that we can start pushing these things? And I think it's a fair question. Obviously, there's always bigger things to go chase, like fly-by-wire certifications and various other things. But I mean, when you're talking about operational costs and being able to reduce the operational costs of these aircraft to make this industry more sustainable, it's something that really needs to be taken a look at.
Yeah, and I guess that whole thing, the sustainability question is one thing. The supply chain fragility, I guess, is for want of a better phrase. All of those things, all again, speak as drivers for that move from, the venerable calendar time equation to as we were talking about, a non-condition thing.
And I think one of the other things that is being recognized by some of our operators is that next generation HUMS is not only a system to understand the safety and quality of your system, but it's also a recruitment and retainment tool. When you're talking about a bunch of, I'm getting a little more gray hairs in my beard, but a few more years before I retire, but there's a lot of folks that are retiring, and you have these new people coming in, and they don't know what an issue on the aircraft sounds like. They can't feel it, they can't hear it. Whereas you have some little bit more gray beard experiences like myself next to you, that may have, I hear that. That's a 2 per rev or whatever else is that's going on.
Yeah.
And so as you have these new AMEs or ANPs or engineers, whatever you want to call them, coming into the workforce, they have this incredible tool to know, hey, I see an issue before my pilot has even complained. And not only that, before I've ever opened a cowling, I know exactly what part I should be taking a look at. So it helps from getting those people on saying, look, you're used to using technology on your phone and your iPad and various other things. We have that same capability now to tell you what's going on in your helicopter and how to make it easier. The end run around that could also be, well, because now we know the health of the aircraft, maybe we're not having to work as many nights or weekends.
Yeah.
And that work-life balance does mean a lot of things. As much as people like getting paid overtime, they love spending time with their family more.
For sure. And that whole, again, that speaks back to the, the whole unscheduled AOG type scenario. You got to go, get your tools, get going, and moving away there. And as you rightly pointed out, some of us have even more grey hair than Ronnie's beard, and will be exiting the workforce before long. But that whole thing of building that knowledge loss back, and having an alternative to years of when it does this, you hit it here. That's a huge benefit too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what we want to be able to do is that we're bringing HUMS to a lot of new operators who've never had this capability before. And one of the things that we're hosting here, 𝗂𝘁𝗀 and actually tomorrow, is a Have HUMS What Now, right? The first time you start getting a trend, that doesn't mean ground the aircraft, right?
Yeah.
You have to start understanding, how do you put this into your risk management process, your SMS processes? Understand, how do I start talking with the OEM? For the most part, a lot of this data that HUMS collects and displays, the OEMs don't actually have thresholds for. What's the threshold of a bearing? Is it making metal? Yes? Well, then it's an issue.
Then it's an issue, yeah.
So if we're starting to see a trend that's not making metal yet, well, what does that mean, right? And so we're developing these processes for these small to medium-sized operators that don't have dedicated people sitting in a dark room looking at squiggly lines all day long.
Yeah.
You have to make it user-friendly, and that's, again, what this next-gen HUMS is really trying to do, is make it so you have better insight to know what's going on in your aircraft, how safe that you feel that is, and decision-making processes, it assists with those.
So there you have it. It basically is that thing of how the system evolves from, as you say, the people sitting in docking rooms looking at squiggly lines to, this is a piece of data and this tells me this is my trigger point, and that's where we have to do this or don't or whatever. And that again just all links back into that whole matrix of how you operate the aircraft and cost effectively, and that's the fundamental. At the end of the day, it's dollars and cents, and how do you fly the aircraft safely and profitably.
Absolutely, and in fact, I'm hosting a panel here on Wednesday. It's an operator panel. It has 4 different operators that are operating HUMS, and they've only all experienced HUMS for just over a year, right?
Sure.
So they have a lot of lessons learned and a lot of things that they're learning about. What does this mean? How do I use this effectively? What decision making do I do going into it, right? When you put something on your aircraft, it costs money, and it costs weight, and it costs time.
Sure.
And so how do you get your ROI off of it? And these operators have done a good job doing that, and they have a long way to go. And we have a lot to learn from them on how to make ours better as well.
That's great. Ronnie, I'm going to let you get back to setting up the stand. And he's been sitting up here drinking coffee and swerving the stand construction thing, so I'm going to make him go back to work now. Ronnie, though, I really appreciate you taking the time out this morning to just keep us up to abreast of the developments with HUMS.
Well, I can't wait to talk about the different things going on this week and hear more announcements from the other OEMs and all the other things going on at the show. It's a good time. If you're not here, you need to come.
Absolutely. It's an incredible show. That's been another edition of the Road Hub International podcast. Join us again next time when we'll be talking more things vertical. Until then, fly safe and keep the blue side up.